Now there's already a lot of real good videos on YouTube about this Bosch 12-inch Axial-Glide miter saw. So I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time just duplicating what everybody else has already said. Well, maybe a little bit. But I'm going to show you why I replaced the saw that I had with this one. Now I said I wasn't going to repeat what other people have already said, but I'm going to mention this one thing, and that is that this saw is extremely smooth. The action is extremely smooth compared to any other saw like this that I've had my hands on. I think it's probably like what a Rolls-Royce would feel like if I could afford one. Okay, this is my old saw, and for me, the way the fence is designed on the old saw is the main reason why I wanted to change. You'll notice that the fence is held together, the two halves are held together by that half ring. Well, that half ring catches the sawdust and sprays it up into the air, and it makes it very difficult to be able to control the dust. I've tried to rig up a dust collection system on this saw, but there just isn't the room like there is on the Bosch. Now, if I had a complaint about this saw, and I'm probably the only person in the world who's got this complaint, and that is you have to use your thumb to release the safety release, and then use your fingers to squeeze the trigger. Now, I've got arthritis in my hands, and it's actually painful to do that. Now let's get back to the things that I like better. On my old saw, if you wanted to adjust the saw so that it was just slightly off of the presets, you couldn't do it unless you tied that lever up somehow. With the Bosch, it's got a little latch and you can lock it up. Really nice. This belt drive system is very quiet compared to the gear-driven system in my old saw. Now, it's not like I'm changing the blade every day, but the tool for changing the blade, and all you need is that tool, is right there, nice and handy. You know, I get a kick out of making my own stuff, like this miter saw stand. Anyway, this saw has a lot of up-front controls. In fact, I think pretty well everything's up front. Now, to change the bevel, you lift this red lever up. On my old saw, you had to reach around the back. Another nice feature that this saw has over my old saw, that as well as beveling to the left, it'll bevel to the right. Now, my old saw did have extensions that pulled out like this too. The difference being, though, this saw, they're very smooth. Adjusting the fence is also very smooth. You know the old saying, like a hot knife through butter? Well, that's what it feels like. And another pleasant surprise, I thought I was probably going to have to do some fine adjusting here. But it was dead on. Well, naturally, if the one side is okay, the other side should be too. And this is like dead on. That's unbelievable. Now, in the event I do want to make some changes, Bosch made it really easy for me. All the adjustments are right there at the front on the top. I don't have to reach around underneath and loosen nuts and bolts like on the old saw. Okay, if you've ever watched any of my other YouTube workshop videos, you probably noticed that I make segmented stuff. Well, when you're making segmented stuff, the angles have to be just right. So I'm going to check the readout on this saw and see how close it is to being dead on. Okay, this should either read 96 or 84. Let's see what's going to happen here. Yeah, 83.9. Okay, I've changed the little index guide so that when I'm looking straight down on it, it pretty well splits the line. Okay, let's try that again. So what I'll do is I'll move it until, okay, that's too far. Okay, that's pretty well split the line. See how close it is now. Okay, now I got it set as close as I can to an indicated 30 degrees. So 90 and 30, it should be 120. Let's see how close this is. Okay, well that says 120.1. You know, that's pretty accurate. Now there is a protective plastic coating over top of this, but you know what? I think I'm going to just leave that on. Never know, I might want to sell this in 20 years. Now my old saw had the old rail system, and on this saw it doesn't have that, so when you push the blade all the way in, it's nice and flat on the back. It doesn't take up any room at all. Now I am making a few modifications here, and I'm changing the blade. The blade that came with this saw I'm sure was a really good crosscut blade, but I wanted an extra fine blade, so I got this one from CMT, and boy does it do a fantastic job. In fact, it is the best blade I have ever had. I tried it out on a test piece here. I just wanted to see how good it was, and it is unbelievably good when it comes to no tear out. I don't know if you can see that or not, but you know, this is incredibly smooth, and there's... Okay, I think you get the idea. Now I took that sawdust bag off because, as I said at the beginning of this video, I want to rig up my own system. I want to take advantage of the fact that I have a fairly large, high volume 4-inch system, and I think it's going to work pretty good. It won't in any way be attached to the saw or the arm of the saw. It won't affect that nice smooth action. Do you remember at the beginning of this video I was kind of whining about having arthritis in my hand, and I didn't like to have to use my thumb and my fingers at the same time? Well, watch this. And while you're watching this, now's a good time for me to mention that since I first saw this at Canadian Woodworker several months ago, the price has really come down, and if you're looking for a good saw of this type, this is the Rolls Royce of the bunch. Hey, Bosch Tools! I'll bet you could sell this as an accessory.